Welcome to the Genuine Driven Women podcast, the show where we guide women to reveal their strengths so they believe and can achieve their desired greatness. This is episode 6, and I'm Tammy, along with my co-host, Adelaida.
Hi, everyone.
On today's show, we'd like to discuss a few thoughts on why there aren't more women in senior leadership positions and what the women themselves can do to change that. Before we get started today, though, I'd like to say a few of our listeners have reached out to us and let us know that they love what we are doing. We're very appreciative to all the support we've received so far. We are very passionate about what we are doing, and we want to reach out to as many young girls, ladies, and women as we can. Some people have asked us how they can help us grow and also succeed in our mission. The absolute best thing that you can do if you think this show has meaning and if it has inspired you is to go to iTunes and take a minute to write a review. I have put a link in the show notes, so if you just click on your smartphone on the picture of this podcast, in most applications that will take you to the show notes. Once you're in the show notes, you can scroll down and there will be a link here in the first paragraph. Another thing you can do is to share our podcasts via your social media accounts like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything else. Just any way you can get the word out about the podcast would be very helpful, and we would really appreciate it.
We'd like to thank Linda L. for a 5-star review we received on Stitcher. She says, "Very motivational. This show's hosts are a professional woman and her daughter, who is currently in college. They cover the perspective of someone who has already found success to someone who is just getting started in the workforce. They are funny, informative, and genuine."
Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
This made our day, and we actually think, Linda, that you captured exactly what we're trying to do. We hope to hear from you again in the future. So, again, we really appreciate the support from everybody, and we plan to keep growing and improving, and we look forward to where we can all go together. And with that, we will jump in today's main topic.
We put a link in the show notes to a TED Talk given by Sheryl Sandberg. Sheryl Sandberg is the COO of Facebook. She has been ranked 8th on Fortune's list of the 50 most powerful women in business, and she has become one of the most galvanizing leaders and an icon for millions of women juggling work and family. She is also the author of 2 books, Lean In and Option B.
Please do take time to watch this TED Talk. It is one of my absolute favorite TED Talks because it gives examples of positive action that we can each take as women individually to alter negative perceptions of successful women in the workplace.
She explains a change in mindset women should adopt if they want to remain in the workforce and become a senior leader in their organization.
Yeah, Sheryl believes that the key to increasing the percentage of women at the executive level positions is to keep them in the workforce so that they have time to gain the experience and to achieve high-level positions. Change begins when a few people begin to move and when that movement inspires others to follow.
She offers 3 things we need to tell ourselves.
And our daughters.
Sit at the table.
Yeah, basically what she's saying is that women systematically underestimate themselves. You know, they walk into a room and they assume that somebody else is going to be more important.
Yep.
And then they will sit along the side of the room. Where when a man walks into the room, frequently the men, no matter what level of the organization they're at, will walk straight to that table and sit down.
Yeah.
And women really cause a disservice to themselves by doing that because they, just by that simple action, they're basically saying, I'm not as important as these men are.
Yeah. Women frequently do not negotiate for themselves. They do not raise their hands for new opportunities.
Yeah, you know, that's basically saying that when there's an opportunity that comes along, a lot of times men will just jump in because they don't even care if they're fully qualified or, you know, they'll just, I'll do it. You know, where women think to themselves, oh my, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I am qualified enough, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like the internships that I applied to, where some of them I saw the qualifications and I said, oh, I don't know if I'll be fully prepared for that. And I had some male friends, you know, same major, who I asked them, oh, do you think you're going to apply for this even though we don't meet these qualifications? And they told me, yeah, I'm going to. And I thought, well, I better too.
Yeah. And I can tell you, if you look at any job description that is being advertised for some position, then in a lot of cases, that job description is pretty robust, and there might be people who meet every single thing on that. And
Yeah.
sometimes you might be the one that meets every single item on the list. But what if the people doing the interviews get 10 people that apply and only one person meets all of the criteria, but that person has a horrible personality?
Yeah.
But then they have, let's say, 3 women that could have applied that only meet 80% of the criteria, but they have amazing personalities and fantastic interpersonal skills, and they are fantastic team builders.
Yeah.
It is very possible that when the interview team actually meets you and gets to know you, that they would select you partly because of your resume, but mainly because they believe you could do the job and pull the team together.
Right.
And so you have just apply. I think we've talked about this in other podcasts previously, that if you don't even try, the answer is going to be no.
Men attribute success to themselves internally. Women attribute it to other external factors. For example, they were helped by others, they were lucky, or they worked really hard.
I think that this is sort of like the podcast we did on locus of control, and that somebody with an internal locus of control is more likely to succeed
Yeah.
than somebody with an external locus of control. And this is exactly why we had the locus of control podcast. If you believe and take more control over your own success, you can create your own success, but you have to believe that you can do it. What we're saying here is that a lot of men are internally driven to believe they can achieve things, where a lot of women are more external, and you have to fight through that.
Yeah, I never thought about the fact that external could also be in a positive way as well, where you're saying, oh, other people help me. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. I never thought about it. I was thinking negatively, like, oh, the boss didn't like me, or, oh, the coworker was being mean, but it could really be, oh, all these other people help me. It wasn't really me.
Yeah,
It was all these other people that helped me get to where I am.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. On our locus of control podcast, I think we spent a lot of time talking about negative external factors that
Right.
somebody would focus on.
But it could also be positive.
Yeah.
And I'm, to be honest, I'm just now realizing, oh,
Yeah.
that it's also positive thinking
Yeah,
too.
because if you basically attribute all your success to other people's good work, that's great that they're doing good work and
Yeah.
that you have a great team. But it is really important to have your own belief in yourself as well.
Yeah.
And so do not downplay your own contributions to any project. So here is my challenge for you today. Pay attention to your behavior of all the women you encounter in your organization. Do assume that you are among the most capable people in the room. Volunteer for that challenging assignment. Apply for that job that you thought was just a little bit out of your reach, and simply start sitting at the table. You owe it to yourself and to all the women that follow in our footsteps. Believe in yourself, negotiate for yourself, and own your success.
The second thought is to make your partner a real partner. Women have made much more progress in the workplace than at home.
Yes, Cheryl states that women do 2 times more housework and 3 times more of the childcare duties than men do. If these stats are correct, it becomes obvious which parent or spouse will remain home when something needs attention or goes wrong.
If it is too lopsided, it is clear who will eventually drop out of the workforce. Also, society put much more pressure on men than women to have a successful career.
Yeah, and as a result, there is an opposite but equal problem that when men become stay-at-home dads, they are sometimes considered to not be contributing to their family, and they are sometimes even thought of as lesser men. And this is really unfortunate. It has everybody that is talented, and everybody has a talent, and it's very possible that a husband and a wife team have decided that the best thing for them and their family is to reverse the roles. And society should support these decisions.
One example Cheryl gives is that if a dad takes a kid to a Mommy and Me event, the other moms do not always include the dad in their cliques. This results in the dad, who is human, not feeling comfortable, and then may result in him not finding the motivation to continue supporting his wife's career as strongly. One way to bring women true equality is to also allow the men to have equality when they are taking very dedicated steps to support other women by accepting non-traditional roles in parenting. We should celebrate these men as much as we celebrate women CEOs.
Yeah, so here's my challenge for you today. I can tell you that a huge part of my personal success has been with the help of the men in my life who support my desire to be a strong female leader and help me with my children. And there is no way I would be here without that support.
Have the discussion with your spouse or partner about your long-term goals and the steps you can take as a couple to achieve them.
And something else you can do, and really try to do this because it's not always easy, that if you know a dad in a non-traditional role, consider all the ways you might encourage or support that person. And we'd really love to hear about your ideas. If you have any ideas how you can support men doing non-traditional roles, staying home, being the caretakers, maybe they get to telecommute in their jobs and they stay home and take care of the children. Maybe they're the ones at the schools helping, volunteering in the classrooms. What are things that we can do to really support those men? And share your ideas with us. Thank you.
The third thing we should tell ourselves and the young women in our lives is don't leave before you leave. One of the most interesting points Cheryl makes is that when a woman begins to consider having a child or getting engaged or married, they start pulling back.
Yeah, she says they begin to lean back at work. This is true even if they don't have a serious commitment in some cases, meaning they don't have a boyfriend. They might not even be dating anybody. Some women assume that they will eventually want to have kids, and that if they do want to eventually have kids, that they cannot have both. They can't have a rewarding career and also be a good mom. So they basically choose to be a good mom before they even have kids. And it could be years before they actually have kids. Cheryl suggests that you should lean in, keep your foot on the gas, and keep moving forward.
Her reason is brilliant. The more you move forward, the more rewarding your options will be when you do take maternity leave and then have to make a decision to come back to work or not.
Yeah, if there is any chance you will want to or that you will have to work after you have children, you owe it to yourself to get as far as you can before you have kids, because that's how you'll have options.
This will give you more opportunity to have the position that will allow you to telework, the type that will allow flexible working hours, the type that will allow you to be both a good mom and to continue in a career that you enjoy. Lean in, as Cheryl says.
Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, think about like some of the jobs. If you think of the lower paying jobs, let's think of some of those jobs that are basically minimum wage kind of jobs.
Waitress.
Fast food. There's lots of labor kind of jobs, landscaping and other things.
Yeah.
Retail. There's a lot of retail jobs that are probably minimum wage.
Working with kids, like recreational
Like
leaders.
being a daycare staff person. Those are a lot of good things, right? A lot of good examples. But then think of after somebody's been working someplace for a while, and now when they grow into a more professional career, a more white collar type of job that requires education and or some sort of professional experience of some kind that could be artistic or otherwise as well. That once you get into a higher level in your workplace, all of a sudden you start having flexibility to work from home or telework, flexible working hours. If you're more in management, they don't watch your every second. They don't, as long as you work your hours, as long as you get your work done, you aren't checked. Did you show up at 7 a.m. on the dot?
Right.
Or did you show up at 7:20? But because a lot of those people a lot of management people work so many more hours and work around the clock and work even on weekends, just, various phone calls or meetings with people overseas, those type of things, so that they're working a lot more random hours that nobody's paying attention to exactly when they clocked in and clocked out. But if you're working a minimum wage job,
whenever you come to work, you clock in on the dot. Some workplaces will let you clock in like 5 minutes early. And the managers are always on you. What have you done today? If you're a waitress, have you been waiting on the tables properly? If you're childcare, have you been helping the kids out? And they're always on you. They're always making sure that you're following the right steps.
Who's your normal boss? Like your boss, if you're a minimum wage person, who is usually the next person above you? Not like the director of a daycare, but like maybe there's somebody that's more like a shift a shift supervisor, assistant manager, like somebody who's like a little more experienced than you are, because maybe they've been there 6 months or a year.
But not much more experience.
You might be 18 years old and that person's 20.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's very interesting that those people are less forgiving, in some cases, not all. I'm being very general.
Yeah.
But the whole point I'm trying to say is if you don't have experience and if you don't have education and you haven't been driving yourself toward a professional goal of some type, that if you stop working before you even get yourself moving up a professional scale, that when you do start working again, you may be stuck in those roles again. And it's so much easier to be a mom when you can get yourself higher on, work yourself up the ladder a little ways and allow yourself some flexibility to keep organizing your life and have a work-life balance that is afforded a little better to people in more professional situations.
Right.
And I realize I have a certain kind of experience, but even my experience that I just explained is somewhat true in the Navy, which is the military, that if you were a little higher in the food chain, if you kind of get yourself to be about E6, E7, or if you get to be an officer, that you get a little more flexibility there as well. It's really worth it to stay in the workplace as long as you can before you have children and do the best you can to climb up that ladder. Here's my challenge for you today. Write down your goals and definitely include your family goals as well. It's very important. You are a whole person. Your goals should include your entire world. As you draft action steps to obtain your goals, focus them in a way that considers where you want to be and how you're going to be a well-rounded, balanced woman 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years from now. Dream big. Successful women back in time.
In this segment each week, we will give you a few points about women that have accomplished a lot. We also will discuss a bit about what was happening to women during the time periods. One woman we thought you would be interested in is Katharine Graham. She was the first female Fortune 500 CEO and the publisher of the Washington Post. Although she was very successful later in her life, she had to work hard and prove herself to many people. Her dad bought the Washington Post in 1933, and even though Katharine had a brother, he decided he did not want to learn the newspaper trade. But Katharine really wanted to, and decided to take on a job in the company as an editorial assistant. Katharine's dad ended up letting her husband take control over the company, and when her husband died, she decided to take over the role as president and ultimately became publisher, chairman, and CEO of the company. Even though she was given this title, she was still watched by the other leaders at the Washington Post. Sometime after her husband's death, a lot of the Pentagon papers that had to do with the Vietnam War were being leaked. The New York Times were told by the government they would not be allowed to continue to share information from these papers into the newspapers. And this was when she made the tough decision to release her newspaper with documents from the leaked information that expressed information about what the government was doing wrong involving the Vietnam War. From this hard decision, Katharine was able to allow for many newspapers to continue using their First Amendment right. She is so inspiring. I really enjoyed reading about her, and I cannot wait to go see the new movie that just came out about her called The Post. She really allows us to believe that we too have the power to accomplish anything.
Wow. Yeah, if you can think about her time and the fact that she made such a bold decision to...
Yeah, and this was in the 1971 when she decided. It was in, I think, June or July when she decided to make this decision.
And so she was in charge of the Washington Post, but what you're saying is the New York Times was told by the government that they couldn't release it, and the New York Times was probably run by a man at that time.
Yes.
And then she made a bold decision to release the papers.
Yeah, even after the New York Times had been told by the government, do not release any more of this information.
Yeah.
She decided, we are going to.
Yeah, that's bold.
Yes, and it got her and the Washington Post noticed, and they were no longer a city newspaper. They became national.
That was the thing that made them go national.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
people started realizing, this is, they're in the big levels now.
Yeah. Well, good job, Katharine.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Good job. Yeah.
The motivational quote of the week.
I have come to realize making yourself happy is most important. Never be ashamed of how you feel. You have the right to feel any emotion you want and do what makes you happy. That's my life motto. Demi Lovato. This quote is so true. Put you first and make sure you are happy. Whether you want to be an engineer, a dancer, or a chef, continue to strive to be your best and don't stop achieving your goals because you can do it.
Yes, I love this. I know that we're all about women trying to find their purpose and finding their place in life.
Right.
And in our episode 1, we talked about finding your purpose. And a lot of people think that your purpose is going to make you happy. And, sometimes you're born with it, but sometimes you have to find it. And I think that's basically what this quote is saying. Keep working on it. Don't be ashamed of who you are or what you believe you should be doing, and try to find your place in the world.
Yes, very true.
Yeah, I love it. Genuine Driven Women read lots of books. We'll make sure to recommend a book each week that will inspire you or help you on your journey to success. This week's book is Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. If you would like to buy this book in any format, including an audiobook, click through to the show notes and you will find a link there. Sheryl Sandberg has become one of America's most galvanizing leaders and an icon for millions of women juggling work and family. In Lean In, she urges women to take risks and seek new challenges to find the work that they love and to remain passionately engaged with work at the highest levels throughout their lives. Lean In is a provocative, inspiring book about women and power, which grew out of the incredible TED Talk we discussed earlier in this podcast episode, where she expressed her concern that progress for women in achieving major leadership positions had stalled. In Lean In, she fuses humorous personal anecdotes, singular lessons on confidence and leadership, and practical advice for women based on research, data, her own experiences, and the experiences of women of all other ages. Sandberg has an uncanny gift for cutting through the layers of ambiguity that surround working women, and in Lean In, she grapples with the great questions of modern life. Her message to women is overwhelmingly positive. She is a trailblazing model for the ideas that she so passionately espouses, and she's on the pulse of a topic that has never been more relevant. Lean In has inspired an entire movement of women who desire to be successful while juggling all the challenges that they have traditionally seen as roadblocks. You will both enjoy this book and be greatly inspired as well. Again, click through to the link in the show notes and you can find the link to the book in many different formats, including audiobooks. We genuinely want to know what you're thinking. This is the section where you ask questions, let us know what's on your mind, or just say hello. Are you driven to succeed? Then email us at genuinedrivenwomen, that's women, WOMEN, at gmail.com, or call us at 724-DRIVEN, the number 2. In other words, that's 724-374-8362, and leave us a voicemail. We will use your voicemails on a future podcast. We look forward to hearing from you. The Genuine Driven Women podcast is produced every week for your inspiration, education, and enjoyment. The show notes and so much more can be found at genuinedrivenwomen.com. Please subscribe to this show via iTunes and Stitcher to receive ongoing weekly motivation to turn your dreams into goals and to reach your version of success. We'd love for you to take a couple minutes to write a review on iTunes, which will help us to reach our goal to connect with girls, young ladies, and women who need just this kind of inspiration every week. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/genuinedrivenwomen. There you can join the conversation, get to know us better, and find out about all the new things that we will be announcing in the months to come. Okay, ladies, it's time to get out there and be the best you that you can be. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.